Priory really helped me kind of mature, get involved with different sort of friendship groups, and, obviously classrooms and things were a lot bigger. And yeah, kind of the school kind of gave that network for me to kind of come out of my shell a little bit and prepare me for the future in terms of what I was going to do with college and university. So yeah, that's how it really kind of helped me, I guess.
Thank you. It's great to hear how much of an impact it had on your life and how it helped you to get where you are now. Esme, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, my question is, how did your career activity start?
Well, I mean, back when I was at school, there wasn't really any sort of accountancy classes that I could do, but I always had an interest in business. I've always had an interest in money, and accountancy kind of blends the two quite well together. So I didn't start learning accountancy until I went to university, which was in 2002. And yeah, kind of learning the theory, it was kind of what I expected. It was really, really interesting. But it wasn't until I got a proper job, probably around sort of 2006, 2007, that I managed to kind of put that learning into practice. And yeah, kind of dealing with different businesses, different industries, different personalities, the core concept of finance and accounting is pretty universal. It's quite standard, but every day is different. And, that kind of really excites me, and it makes my days varied.
Thank you.
Thank you, Esme. Do you think that there is a particular moment in your career when you knew exactly what you wanted to do?
No, probably not. I didn't know what I wanted to do at school. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went and did A-levels, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was at university. It took me probably 2 years after I left university to kind of hone my skills and kind of talking to different people, getting that sort of first job. At that point, then I kind of knew that I wanted to do something within accountancy. I mean, the good thing about accountancy is quite broad, so you can do lots of different roles within finance. I started in credit control within Bristol Water, so kind of not typically accountancy based, but it kind of fell within the realm of finance. It probably wasn't until, I guess, maybe like 2010, 2011, when I got kind of a few more roles into my career, that I kind of honed my skill set, and I thought, right, this is the kind of area that I wanted to go into. But yeah, it took a bit of time.
Olivia, would you like to ask your question?
My question is, how did you keep motivated after being made redundant?
Well, it's happened 3 times in the last 10 years, so I've been kind of getting used to it. I can't really put my finger on it and exactly kind of what I did to sort of get over these hurdles. I mean, the first time that it happened, which was, oh crikey, probably back in 2009, back in the previous recession, we lost a house that we were going to buy, and then the second redundancy happened 6 months before I was due to get married. So kind of each sort of hurdle was different in terms of kind of getting over it. I mean, the first redundancy, I was out of work for 7 months. So yeah, that was really, really tough. The second redundancy, I was already part qualified in my professional exams, so I kind of had the experience to go out and get a role relatively quickly after that redundancy. And then the third redundancy that happened last year, I kind of, I created my business off the back of that. So I guess, the more experienced that I've become, it got easier. But yeah, mentally at the time, certainly I've got 2 young kids here. My wife is a stay-at-home mum without a paid income. So it's on me to put the food on the table. And when you get made redundant, 2 weeks into the new year, that's really, really, really tough. Fortunately, it was this side of the pandemic, and I managed to get the business up and running. But I guess just positive thinking. The fact that I've become experienced in redundancies has helped. But a good support network, definitely key. My family, my wife, they've been through each and every one, and they've been really, really supportive, which has really helped.
Would Dawson like to ask his question now?
Hi, I know you do a lot of fundraising activities and you've been involved in quite a lot. So which have been your favourites and what type have been your favourites to do or be part of?
Oh, yeah, great question. Yeah, so I used to do a lot of charity work probably around sort of 9, 10 years ago. I did a lot of work for Western Hospice Care. And so it's always been kind of a passion of mine to help charities or to help initiatives that kind of, are, that do good projects for other people, in the environment, etc. I guess, as my business grew last year and I was becoming quite successful with it, I thought, right, well, considering the world is in a funny place right now, I'd like to kind of share some of that success with people that perhaps haven't been quite so fortunate and as lucky as what I have. So I got involved with a initiative called B1G1. They are an American-based company that essentially they have multiple projects that you can sponsor, that you can donate money to, and they cover a wide variety of initiatives such as the environment, empowering women in the workplace, the economy, children, food and drink. There's kind of a whole load of different projects that you can donate to. So I started working with them at the back end of last year, and I've donated probably about 6 or 7 different projects. I think in terms of the one that I've enjoyed to do the most, I don't know, they've all been quite unique, really. They've all been sort of quite different and quite broad. I think the one that was really interesting was the rainforest one in Australia, where I donated a certain square footage of rainforest to be protected in Australia. And the specific rainforest has been quite badly affected by the bushfires over the last year in Australia. And I think from memory that there was about 150 endangered plant life species and about 60 or 70 endangered wildlife species in terms of animals and birds. So to kind of, I'm not going to change the world overnight by myself, but to kind of do that and to give that back to that area of the country, that area of the planet that's suffered, that's been, that was really, really good from my perspective. And then alongside the charity work, I've done quite a lot of sponsorship stuff as well. So I sponsor a local football team, and I'm just about to put my name to sponsor another professional sports player as well for this year. So again, sports have been hit pretty badly. A lot of them haven't been able, to have been played or whatever. So, just for me, that's kind of, I'd like to share my success with other people, I guess.
Heidi, would you like to ask your question?
What was a typical day like at your job?
Great question. So typically I wake up at the crack of dawn with my puppy that likes to bark at 4 a.m, and then that will wake the kids up. So I'm up pretty early normally. My wife is up a lot earlier. So yeah, we'll go downstairs. We'll get the pets fed, the kids ready for school, and then I'll start work sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm lucky that I've got a spare room here in my house, which is my office. And it's, at the moment, there's a lot of these sorts of meetings on video conferencing. Obviously, I've not been able to get out and see a lot of my clients face to face, which is a shame because I do prefer that. But lots of meetings online. I check my diary every day for any deadlines. So if, at the moment it's towards the end of the month, so I've got lots of payrolls to run for businesses. We've just come out of personal tax return season. So, January was quite busy getting everybody's outstanding personal tax returns in. So there are certain tasks that are cyclical and required to be done every month or every quarter. But I guess, the way that I work is quite fluid. So, I can pick and choose, what days I can do meetings on or what days I've got to submit information for deadlines. So it's normally kind of 8:30 till 6:30 is my normal working day. And then the evening with the kids and the family and getting some food down me. But in terms of what I do, it's quite varied.
Tamsin, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, hi. So I actually have 2 questions. So would you rather I read them both out first or one after the, or ask one question, then you answer it, then I ask the other one?
Can you please answer one at a time because my memory is shocking?
Okay. The first one is, since you probably didn't plan to launch your business using Facebook and Zoom, do you think that actually turned out to be a benefit as you've reached so many people and your business has grown so quickly? And which of lockdown elements do you intend to keep when you start doing it face to face?
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of the first, probably the first 3 to 6 months, I conducted the majority of my business on Facebook, and it was a question of joining networking groups on Facebook and trying to tap into small business owners through Facebook. I attended one networking meeting, which happened, I think, towards the end of January, and then obviously kind of lockdown happened fairly soon after that. So I'd not really got much opportunity to see people to kind of network with, and yeah, Facebook was really good for that. I started my own Facebook group in February, which has grown massively, and it's now got over 1,000 members in, which is amazing. That's, you know, for me, that was a way of me helping more people at the same time, if that makes sense, with my content. And being able for more people to see that content. It wasn't a kind of a marketing ploy to get new business in, but you know, that's kind of how it's worked out. You know, and a lot of people kind of converse, you know, in that group. I guess the last sort of 3 to 6 months, whilst Facebook has still been busy, LinkedIn as a platform has now grown for me. As my brand has become more well known, I've been asked to get involved with different projects. I've been asked to speak at conferences. I've been interviewed by some of my industry peers and professionals that are quite well known within, you know, nationally within the country. So that activity has happened more on LinkedIn. So yes, so it's been a combination really over the last year. You know, certainly not looking to kind of stop any of that activity because it's done me well up till now. You know, I'm at a stage right now where probably half of my clients have not met yet face to face. Some of those live in Weston, ironically, so just down the road. So I guess going forwards, when the lockdown measures ease, I'm going to have a few busy weeks trying to get out and see as many people as I can. But I think video conferencing will always have kind of a home. You know, it's convenient for me because I don't therefore have travel time, so I can fit more work in, I can fit more meetings in. And I guess people are more comfortable with this as a platform to talk now. So probably a mixture of going out and seeing people and continuing with the Zoom.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is, how do you manage to do all the charity work at the same time as keeping your business running?
Oh yeah, struggling with difficulty. Yeah, so it's just me and my business. I don't outsource any work. I don't have anybody working for me. So yeah, I literally do everything. I do all the marketing. I do all the diary management, all the meeting planning. Yeah, it's a struggle. It's become more of a struggle as I've got busier and I've got more clients. I think probably going forwards over the next few months, you know, the Kickstarter scheme that the government have started looks really, really good, and it might enable me to A, get some help on board, but B, hopefully give a younger person a platform to maybe learn an industry and to learn a trade. So yeah, I guess kind of going forwards, I'm going to need to seriously think about having some help. But in terms of what I do, like I said before, my wife is a stay-at-home mum, so she does the majority of the housework. You know, she sorts the kids out, does the school run, most of the school runs, sorts the pets out. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably still have a business, but it wouldn't be anywhere near the success it has been if it wasn't for her. So you know, I've got her to be really, really grateful for, to allow me to work kind of 9 till 6 to build the business up to be what it is. So yeah.
Charlotte, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, you did kind of touch on this earlier, but when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up, and how do you feel that relates to your current job?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, it's a long time ago, I've just got memories of being at school. I always enjoyed school. I was the sort of person where I found school relatively easy, but as a result of that, I probably didn't try as hard as I could. I kind of did enough to get by. And yeah, maybe I wasn't pushed enough, but I always enjoyed school. So that was never a chore for me. But in terms of understanding what I wanted to do, yeah, I like maths. You know, I did statistics as part of my degree. So I was always on like Sky Sports News looking at all the football stats, and I love video games, so kind of the mathematical aspect of playing video games and coordination and stuff. I used to really like. Yeah, I never had a career in mind when I was at school. Never had a profession in mind. I guess I had more of an idea of the subjects that I liked. So yeah, like maths, physics, geography. Those were the subjects that I used to really like at school.
I'm going to ask another question now. So who was your favourite teacher and how did they help inspire you?
Who was my favourite teacher? Can I have more than one answer? Or does it have to be one?
You can, yeah.
Okay, right, good. So Miss Gibson was my English teacher at school. And when we were put into sets, I was in a higher set for every single subject apart from English. And I never really understood why, because I used to enjoy English and I thought I was all right at it. But with Miss Gibson, she did one of the, I think it was like the higher intermediate set or something. And there was me and one other chap called Kevin James. And we were kind of both sat together. We used to be quite studious. And Miss Gibson was amazing because I think she could tell that we were kind of above some of the others in the class, and she really pushed us to, I guess, do the best that we could. And yeah, for not being in a higher set of English, but doing really well in the subject, that was really cool. And she was really down to earth with the kids as well. She was kind of at our level to talk to. She was really good. So that would be one. I said before, I like geography. Mr. Perks used to frighten the hell out of me at school. He was an absolute, I'll call him a monster. He wasn't a monster, but he came across that approach, that disciplinarian kind of approach, really frightening. And him and Miss Gibson used to go for fag breaks down in the back of the staff area as well. So they were quite well known together. But he was another person that really pushed me because I guess he could sense that I really enjoyed geography. And geography was an option. So we weren't set in terms of higher, middle, lower geography. So there were a wide variety of learning styles and students within that class. But yeah, I'll never forget, I got an A or an A star, I can't remember, at geography. And when I came to pick up my exam results, Mr. Perks basically punched me on the shoulder and said, "Look, there you go, I knew you could do it." So yeah, those two teachers, I've always got memories of them because I guess they were kind of most on my level and they pushed me more so than perhaps, some of the other ones. But yeah, there's two for you.
Neve, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, did anybody inspire you to give some of your money to charity?
Yeah, so I've got a mentor who is he's kind of a marketing and pricing specialist within the accountancy industry, and he's globally well known. So he's a guy called Mark Wickersham. So I've been working with Mark for probably just over a year, about a year, 18 months. And through one of his previous roles that he did before his mentorship academy that he does, he commented on B1G1 in the past. So I've been aware of the actual charity themselves, but I guess kind of, looking up to Mark, he's helped me massively over the last year with regards to my pricing, my marketing, my outlook, running a business for the first time, all of these different kind of pressures and things I'd not really known before, never working like in an accountancy practice before. I've always worked for larger corporates within industry. So, Mark helped massively, and I kind of bow to his feet quite a lot with whatever he says. So from the charity point of view, he kind of went through that and said, look, this is what my business is doing, and this is how you could do something similar if you wanted to. So yeah, it was through him really.
Amy, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, you kind of touched on this with a couple of other questions, but when you were at Priory, could you see yourself going as far as you have in your career? Not particularly going in the career direction that you are in now, but could you see yourself going this far and being this successful?
No, definitely not. I mean, I've always been kind of self-deprecating of myself. I've always kind of struggled to get confidence to kind of think, well, you can do this, and you're okay at what you do. That's partly been due to redundancies, I guess, in the past. But I guess partly because I've worked in larger corporate businesses, and getting that sort of that value from employers and getting that sort of limelight to say, hey, look, I can do something, that's really difficult when you're a small fish in a big pond. So it wasn't until my last couple of roles where I worked for smaller businesses that gave me kind of more confidence and more feedback to say, you can do this. But I guess the shining light was when I got my first client, and I sent them an invoice and they paid for it for a bit of work that I did, and it was kind of like, well, okay, you can do this and people are willing to pay for it. So yeah, I mean, you take into account the fact that I've never done this before. You take into account obviously the pandemic, and businesses that haven't survived, and businesses that haven't been able to trade in any capacity. I keep saying that I'm lucky. Other people say, well, it's down to kind of hard work for you to make it happen. But it's been a kind of a perfect storm, really, the last year. But yeah, I keep looking, even sort of this time last year, this time kind of 6 months ago, I keep looking back, and there's absolutely no way that I could have foreseen for it to have been so successful, both, financially and from a quality of life point of view. I've never been happier, like professionally. I'm around to see the kids and the family because I'm at home. And I'm still working quite a few hours, but I'm not commuting. So, as is most other people, but if I were to go back into a day job and commute into Bristol 2 hours a day, yeah, I'm earning more money and kind of working less. So it's been amazing, and the growth is set to continue. This year I've got some really interesting projects. Like I say, people are reaching out to me on LinkedIn who I would never have thought that they would have even known who I was this time last year. So yeah, you probably tell by now I like to waffle, but yeah, the simple answer is no. I wouldn't have had a clue that this was going to happen. And I'm kind of just sort of still riding the wave a little bit.
Sasha, would you like to ask your question?
I have 2 questions, if that's okay.
Of course.
Other than starting your own business, what would you consider your greatest achievement?
Greatest achievement. Oh crikey, put me on the spot. I don't know, something family oriented, I guess. Being a dad for the first time, or getting married, or kind of well, when you're younger, these sorts of things just don't really come into your head. But I mean, yeah, when my first child was born, was that 2013? Yeah, that was amazing, and to kind of have a bundle of stuff in your arms and think, right, well, you got responsibility now. That was a massively proud kind of moment for me, from a personal perspective. Yeah, I guess, professionally, it's this business and what I've done that's kind of, the best thing from a professional point of view. But yeah, I guess, yeah, having kids is probably the answer for that one.
And what 3 things would you take to a desert island?
3 things to a desert island. Probably my MP3 player, because I am a massive music nerd. You can probably see in the background I've got heavy metal stuff everywhere, so music is my life. So probably my MP3 player. Probably I can't really choose one book, and I've got too many books to take them all, but a Stephen King book of some description. I don't know, I like all of his stuff, so maybe one of his books. And then if power wasn't an issue, I'd take my laptop, because I love playing Football Manager. So it will probably be that. If I could find a PowerPoint somewhere on an island, that'd be great.
Mr. Dando, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, hi Neil. Interesting to hear your career progress. I was just wondering how scary a time it must have been to reach that decision to leave sort of big business behind, as it were, and go it alone. It must have been a leap in the dark initially for you.
It was terrifying. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I mean, it was a question of going into work on the 14th of January 2020, and then coming out half an hour later with a box between my hands, you know, it was quite unexpected. It was quite difficult to get to grips with that, and you know, the decision that I had to make was either to go out to the job market and find something relatively quickly, or to concentrate on the business that I had formed, because I'd managed to get a couple of clients over Christmas kind of doing it on the side. So I'd started the very bare bones of it, but it was nowhere near enough to kind of pay the bills and to put food on the table. So these were the two options for me. You know, I looked in the bank and I had 2 months worth of cash to live off, you know, if I'd not earned another penny. So I knew that by the end of March, I basically couldn't, you know, if I didn't earn anything, that's fine. But end of March was the date where things were going to get a little bit tricky. And I also knew that if I took a job and I got another job within Bristol, I wouldn't have been able to dedicate any more time on the business side of things. So yeah, that was the decision that I made, and I decided to go with the business. And yeah, redundant on the 14th of January, and I started full time on the 15th of January. It was tax return season, so I was quite busy. I had a few tax returns to do. Managed to onboard a few clients in and around sort of February, early March, and then by that period at the end of March, I'd managed to get a recurring revenue stream that paid the bills, and that was great for me, because then, even though there was nothing left over, I knew that the business could supplement our lifestyle. And then obviously lockdown happened at the end of March, and I thought, oh crikey, you know, am I gonna lose all of this progress that I've made over the last sort of 2 or 3 months? But it's been the opposite, you know. It's been totally the opposite. I guess, you know, I'm a bit of a fresh approach to accountancy, and because I've got quite a strong social media brand now, you know, all of the relief schemes, all of the grants and loans that have come as a result of the pandemic, you know, I've been quite vocal in trying to give support. That's helped onboard new clients, and with new clients come more referrals. So it's kind of been a bit of an upside down pyramid as time has gone on, for that kind of word of mouth to get around. But yeah, certainly between January to March, January to April, it was really tricky. Like I said, my wife doesn't earn an income, so it was kind of make or break. And if it didn't work out, and I had to get a job, then obviously, you know, March with lockdown, that would have made things even more trickier. But thankfully that didn't happen. So
I have one last question. If you have like one top tip to give everyone just for how to get to where you are and how to make a successful business.
Great question. Thank you. Be yourself. People will tell you how you should do an interview, or you know, what kind of career to go into. Just be yourself. You know what you enjoy. You know what you're good at. Everyone's got their own unique personality. As long as you stick to that, you will be unique from other people. And I think, you know, when I first started the business, I was told, well, an accountancy business should do this or should do that, or they should market in this way, or, you know, you can't put a picture of your dog on your business page because it's got nothing to do with accounting. Rubbish. Be yourself, and you will stand out from the crowd. And if you do stand out from the crowd, you will be successful, because people like having you know, if somebody's going to do a tax return for £200, and if another person's going to do a tax return for £200, but they're going to plant 5 trees in Kenya as a result of that tax return, then which one are you going to choose? They're the same cost. You're going to choose the one that does a little bit different, yeah, something a little bit out there. So yeah, I mean, I've just operated as myself. This is who I am. My business is me. I am my business. I've got a personality and I've used it. I haven't sort of pandered to any kind of constriction. So be yourself. That's what I'd say.
And I'll hand back over to Miss Davis.
Oh, thank you very much, Shannon. Fantastically hosted as always, and thank you, Neil, for giving up your time and inspiring everyone. It's great to hear the journey since you left Priory, and a bit of information about teachers back in the day. It's always interesting to hear who's your favourites and the stories. So thank you very much, really appreciate it, and all success to you. You're doing fantastically well, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. This has been great. Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Lovely, thank you. Hope to see you again.
Super, thank you.
Thanks, then. Bye.
Cheers, bye.